in 10 years, we really built a big customer base for our area, and it left me grinding and working nights and weekends and really struggling to have that work-life balance and be with my family. I've been doing electric work since 2001. I had 15 years in the field, and even though school was a tough thing for me, I really started to believe in myself and my ability to learn, and I took the test. I got a pretty darn good score, close to a 90, and the rest was history. I started this business in 2015. Now we're into EV and AI and stuff that are very heavy on electricity demand. So it's interesting to see it change so much. If someone does answer, I'm sorry to say, but how often is it a good transaction? We are training our AI model to try and sort out calls that don't actually need someone. So the AI is being trained to understand when it actually can solve this issue without anyone needing to go out. And who doesn't like, getting their problem solved for free?
Hey everyone, you're tuning into the Fast Track podcast, where we sit down with builders, leaders, and creators who are rethinking how construction gets done. I'm your host, Billy Basuni, and today we're joined by Cal Hines, founder of All About Electrical, based in Satellite Beach, Florida. Cal has over 20 years of experience as a master electrician, and he's built a reputation for honest service, quick turnaround, and client-first mindset in a space that often lacks all three. Cal, thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being on the show. So let's give the audience here a little bit of an introduction of who you are and your background, what All About Electrical is about.
All right. Well, like you said, my name's Cal, and I've been doing electric work since 2001. I worked for a mom and pop coming up in Maryland, actually, for 5 years before I moved to Florida and changed my surroundings. I went into a little more commercial work at that point, and that was around the time the economy took a dip, and I actually ended up getting laid off after 3 years with a company there. And from there on, it was bouncing around to, security, fire alarm. I just really actually didn't know it at the time, but really built a bigger foundation for the type of work I was learning, and I got to stay in all different fields just by keeping my options and working for so many different companies. And, I even did maintenance at a school for a while. And at that point, I came home one day and said, you know what? I'm going to stick my nose in these books. I think I had 15 years about in the field, and I just really stuck my nose in there. And even though school was a tough thing for me, I really started to believe in myself and my ability to learn, and just got in there. And in less than a year, I took the test. I got a pretty darn good score, close to a 90, and the rest was history. I started this business in 2015. It was a slow start. Sat around a little bit wondering how I was going to do, trying to find customers and really get things off the ground. Within a year, I was, trying to get my wife to quit her job to hire her to help me, because I just was quickly getting into struggling to manage the business. So she jumped in in the second year, full force. Ever since then, we've been on our own, working through this business. We've started some others in the since then, but yeah, we've been a good team, and she's helped me take it to new heights. We, mainly work in the residential um, area of electrical work, but we've done everything from commercial to government contracting, and we kind of backed away from that more, but we always like to leave our options open. And we've gotten to really just experience the ability to work for ourselves, and try to help keep our customers satisfied and safe in their endeavors in a big world of change. This field has opened up quite a bit, and when we saw the start of LED lighting, I feel like going as a big change when I started, and now and I feel like you saw all these services get a lot lighter on the loads, and then now we're into EV and AI and stuff that are very heavy on electricity demand. So it's kind of interesting to see it change so much.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that. I want to circle back around to where you're going a little bit later, but so go, what type of clients or projects do you serve and work on right now? Like, and remind me, you guys are only in the Satellite Beach area, or do you guys
So
serve?
we are state licensed, so we can work in the whole state of Florida. But with our current resources, we've stuck to Brevard County, Florida. So we do go outside of Satellite Beach, although who doesn't like to work close to home. That being said, we are in the middle of a transition to our business because while, as I was saying, there's been so many changes, and employees were kind of a pain point for us trying to grow, and in 10 years we really built a big customer base for our area, and it left me grinding and working nights and weekends and really struggling to have that work life balance and be with my family. So we've kind of decided to take a transition to a service or a managed service provider model where we are going to turn a lot of, we'll try to help our customers with referrals. We're going to partner with the best electrical contractors we can find in Florida and try to keep their schedules full and really just transition to back to being able to be that reliable phone call, because who likes making a ton of calls to try and get someone out to fix something, especially when it's safety related or a troubleshooting task. So we're really going to focus, kind of dial things back a little bit at the beginning to focus on home safety, make sure people have their smoke detectors, make sure any troubleshooting's taken care of quickly, and panel issues and those things. And we'll also do EV chargers, as that's such a growing part and a big amount of the phone calls we get right now. So that's where we're headed. We're going through a big transition, so we've had a little slow period, but we're looking to really roll this out, hopefully within the next 30 days, and be able to get back to quick quality electrical work to our customers.
Awesome. Congrats on the new journey and the new growth. I'm sure that's exciting, but also scary at the same time. It's helped
Absolutely.
the customers and also maybe myself a little bit understand how this would work, right? Let's say I'm in the Satellite Beach area and I wanted to get someone to fix um, my electrical panel, something broke or my breaker or something like that. So they would reach out to you, who then as an expert would then contract another contractor to actually do the work? Or tell me more, I guess, about of the new model that you're trying to transition into.
Gotcha. So how it would work is you'd make a phone call or put in a request through our website, and we're gonna basically try to use AI to sort out anything of those, like, calls that don't actually need someone. So on a panel situation like that, usually it's gonna understand that that's not something that is going to be able to be fixed through this call. But we do get a lot of calls where, and it was one of our biggest complaints, not ours, but in the field, where somebody calls and they don't have power to an outside outlet or something, and it just turns out to be a GFI that tripped, the little outlets that have like a reset button on them. And so people would be frustrated and about $150 service call or whatever someone might charge, and they're there for 5 minutes. They reset a button and ask for their money and leave. So
Yeah.
we are training our AI model to try and sort those issues out um, at the forefront, so we can just really focus on actual needs. So in your case, where it's a panel, we're gonna, our AI will ask for general information. It will, ask for photos, any kind of things that we can do to get a leg up on getting being quicker to service this need. Sometimes we can see enough that we need from pictures just to go ahead and give an estimate and get something on the schedule. A panel also would typically require a permit and stuff like that. So those are some of the things we're still trying to sort out exactly how they'll work and how how to do that with a contractor. But it's something that we've done plenty of. It obviously slows down the process, so we're probably not going to receive a panel replacement call and be able to do that. Sometimes we could do them in the same week, but it's that's a trickier one. But if you're having a problem with a certain breaker or something like that, we can give some tips to unplug things and try to reset. And of course, we always want to make sure people are safe and comfortable with anything they're doing. So the AI is being trained to understand when it needs to route to an actual live person, um, or actually can solve this issue without anyone needing to go out. And who doesn't like, getting their problem solved for free?
Right, right. Let's talk about that actually. Love to talk about AI. That is what we do essentially as a business as well. So it sounds like you have an AI caller system bot
Yes.
implemented into your new business model. Tell us more how that
Absolutely.
works.
Well, my team is actually the most familiar with how that works, but we're basically taking these scenarios and training our model to not obviously run into dead ends. So in the case of, like I said, is it something that's a simple problem that it sounds like, okay, if they tried to unplug a few things and then tried to reset the GFI, that's something that we can train the model to do. But if it's something where they've tried these things and they can't get there, then we're going to again ask for the customer address, the information. We're going to ask for a couple pictures, and that's when a human, myself probably to start, and our team of electricians will start to look at those things and try to take over and get back to the customer quickly with whatever the next needed steps are.
So it's really to free up all the time that it takes to even sort of compartmentalizing the customers that are coming in. Is that
Exactly.
yeah,
All this is, I feel like it's one of those new things that certain people aren't going to be comfortable with. And we understand that. And that's not our role. Our goal isn't to, um, like make everything easier for us. Our goal is to help people quicker. And,
right.
there's only so much you can do with somebody sitting in the office. And I feel like this system gives us the best ability to get and help people quickly, all while capturing information and the things that I don't know that there's that many people out there that really enjoy doing that. There's not too many. It's not a highly sought after job that people want to answer your phones and put data into a computer. And AI is this wonderful tool that can really do these things quickly, and it's not an electrician sitting in the field with their phone ringing going, I'm missing a call. That was me the last 10 years. My phone's ringing the whole day. And so I'm trying to constantly get a job done, also thinking about a job that I don't even know anything about yet. So the whole idea is to capture information quickly and get back to people faster.
Right. No, I love what you're doing. Love the fact that you are one of those businesses that is thinking ahead in today's world. If you're not trying to implement AI, you're getting left behind, right? Let's just kind of be
Right.
realistic about it. Like it's coming. It's already here in certain cases, and I like that you mentioned that it's really about helping people because at the end of the day, it is right. No one who needs an electrical service wants to call an electrical, like, call all about electrical and then not hear back and not know what the next step is. With AI, you
Right.
can solve that, right? You have sort of an expert really who can ask the right questions, put you a step further into the next step in fixing your problem at home. Whereas in the traditional way, at least correct me if I'm wrong, you call the office, um, and either you don't get uh, anyone to pick up, or you get someone who will need to transfer that customer to the expert who might not be available, right? So then you're there with an emergency at home and with nothing that can be done at that point in time. So, um, yeah, I love all the points that you're bringing up here. Um, what's been the biggest challenge here in being able to grow and transition into that new business model?
So I will say back to what we were talking about. We are one of those people right now that haven't been able to in this transition, and we're lucky to have made friends with plenty of our customers, so we get insight. I know from the contractor side what it's like trying to manage your business and be out in the field, and there's so many things coming at you. So I would say from the customer side, we hear it all the time. Most people don't expect anyone to answer. So that's one thing that, and if someone does answer, I'm sorry to say, but how often is it a good transaction? I mean, like you said, it's either somebody that's not qualified to answer the questions or the needs you have, or they really just don't want to be there, So,
Right.
and I mean, I
Yeah.
hate to say it, but again, a pain point for us was not, I want to be the best employer I can be. Like, and I just didn't ever feel like anybody that I ever put in that situation was enjoying their job, So that was something that I had to come to recognize, and was a big pain point for us, because it's like it's hard to have someone sitting in the office. You're trying to keep them busy enough for the full day, but they're also stuck with these scenarios that they don't need to they don't know how to handle. So this frees me up, I feel like, to do kind of what I've learned over the 10 years, what I understand. And then hopefully from the contractor side, we can partner with great electricians that want to focus on actually being in the field doing the work, and not be worried about missing the next call, you know, when they're going to, how they're going to get paid, like doing an invoice. So we're really trying to focus on marketing for the contractors, customer retention, and payment invoicing, so they can show up, do the work, and leave, and they don't have to, like, that would be for me another thing that was a big pain point, and it's not the
Hmm.
same for everybody else, but would be, I would sit, I would be done 10 minutes before I'm done the job, I'm already thinking about how I got to sit in the truck for 20-30 minutes and type all this up or put it all into an invoice, or and that's missing dinner with my family. So, this was one solution that I felt like it won't be perfect, and I'm sure there's things I don't even realize that are going to be problems that we're going to deal with, but that happens anyway. So this was the solution that I felt like we can really help some people that were in my shoes 10 years ago, that don't know, like, that this is going to be a hard part. I'm not a business, I've only learned business from the school of hard knocks the last 10 years. It's not my profession. I didn't go to college for it. Of course, I've tried to do little classes and stuff like that, but there's not really some perfect path for this. So I feel like this gives us the best way to help our customers and contractors that are looking to, grow their business and also enjoy raising a family and, whatever else they want to do. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just fishing. Who knows?
Hey, I mean, that's the best way to learn business, right? Just to do it.
Yeah.
Regardless of how, it's like kind of having a kid. Not that I have one yet, but I always hear no matter how prepared you think you may be, you never will be, right?
Yeah.
And with business, that's the same thing. You kind of just have to get your feet wet and at some point just dive all in and kind of roll with the punches. Just the main thing is to never stop taking action, right? And it seems
Yeah.
like you're doing that. You've done that multiple times with actually growing a business, and then now trying to re remodel your business into something new. I wanted to ask, with it sounds like you have built, a good customer base. Do you also have a good a pool of contractors that you already are working with, or how are you reaching out to find those contractors if you don't have any yet?
So we're still in the process of trying to nail down our contractors. We don't have anybody specifically we're working with yet, but I do have a good list. I've met, and I know it's one of the other things that I would say has been one of my favorite parts of the business that I never would have thought. We happen to be in a small office center that another contractor, electrical contractor, moved in. I think it was 3 doors down from us. And I remember, and I knew the building manager well. And I remember saying to my wife, like, I don't know how to feel about this. Like it seems kind of tough that they're gonna put another electrical contractor in here with us. And I decided at that point that it had to be a good thing that, I was a really big moment because I feel like I really understood it at that point that maybe there was a great side to this could be a help for us, and I would say I think someone in their business was very competitive and thought that this was going to be, and they actually have more employees than us too. And so I was watching little things, and I finally, after a couple weeks, got to meet the owner, and great guy. And I feel like it was really funny because he told me, I think it was his wife that was helping him too, and said, uh, I think they're sending us jobs, and because, again, I was getting to the point where I just couldn't do it. And we were moving into more specializing on swimming pools. And
Mm,
so I was getting these ones. And, back to the point that it felt like weight on our shoulders to not be answering the phones and not having a solution for someone. So it was almost like the powers that are outside of ours kind of said, hey, here's your solution. So, we tried to see and understand what they did a little better and what the type of work they wanted. But again, it became the type of thing where it's like, hey, look, we can't get to this, but try these guys out. And I think it turned into a good relationship, and they'll probably be someone I'll reach out to when we're ready. We want to play with the back end of this a little more before we start introducing um, people because we want to understand it a little better. So being honest, we're not far enough along to be ready to interview our contractors, but I do have my list, and I have my secondary list. And like I said, we want to really get out into the whole state of Florida. Nationwide would be great. To where, again, this is something that we feel like, especially the newer contractors that don't understand quite what they're getting themselves into,
mhm.
that we can really take this to a level that helps everybody work quicker, more efficiently, and do what they really want to be doing.
Yeah, and helps them grow kind of in a faster pace because you've been there, you've done that, right? You've been in the field where you also had to do the admin work, and you noticed that that was a pain point in your life, and you've mentioned work-life balance, right? And who doesn't want work-life balance? Who doesn't want to just go home and have dinner with their kids and their family as soon as they put down the tool belt, right? Whereas now you got to be thinking about, like you said, all the paperwork, all the invoicing, et cetera, et cetera. What about, I want to talk about managing customer expectations. You've built a business that has been successful, and obviously that requires the satisfaction of your customers. Um, has What's the most challenging part about that, or what successes have you seen in being able to get you a good review, right? At the end of the day.
All right, so I love the question because it's something that obviously is the scary part of this whole transition because we're going to be working with contractors that have their own businesses. To some degree, we can't make anybody do anything. But that being said, quality is the most important part of electrical work for obvious reasons. And I don't know what you want to call it, perfectionism or whatever, but I feel like that has a double-edged sword to it because I'm someone that usually I feel like people, not everybody would see it, but I was willing to spend an extra hour to make sure that I was happy with it. And I never really had anybody that came behind me and wasn't happy with it too. And I do feel like sometimes there was the people that probably just saw that I was going that extra mile that made, even if it wasn't something perfect, or I don't know how to really say that, but a tough visually aesthetic item of a electrical job. You just have things that are already in place and you got to go around them, or whatever it is. Just seeing customers seeing you make that effort to go that extra mile sometimes I think was enough to for them to understand, man, this is really difficult. So for me, that was always coming at my own, I think, sacrifice that, made me miss dinner with the family, like I said. Um, and I think the way that we're going to manage that is through coaching. I think trying to set the expectation from the beginning. And with the myriad of pictures I've saved through the years of, trying to actually show what we're looking for. But I think also that comes with follow up, and to me, I probably didn't even do it enough, but one of my favorite times in the field was always when I had that moment to just go to the customer and ask them, put them on the spot, not in an uncomfortable way, but are you happy with what I did? I mean, do you feel good about what I did? Because I do want to know. I really care. I mean, care is just something that you can't put it at the same level when you own the business to an employee. I mean, I've learned that in 10 years. You're never I mean, if you got somebody that cares that much, keep them, because that's the hardest thing, because nobody's going to care the way they do when it's theirs. And there's different ways, I think, as a business that you can look at trying to accomplish those things if with business structures, but let's just focus on this customer side, contractors there. I mean, that's something I really want to focus on, is get people to ask the customer how they feel right there, right then, when the tools are still out, because, that's your chance a lot of times to make something better. And obviously, if they're home, or, and it's the type of thing that you try to ask ahead of time and set those expectations of, is this something that's going through the attic, or are we going on the surface with the conduit, or whatever. Set the expectations from the beginning, and before you leave, double check and make sure. We're going to utilize pictures and videos as best we can to make sure that we can look at things on both sides, and whether it's before or afterwards, try to coach people up on little things that we see, follow up with our customers with surveys, and always trying to start with contractors that have that same belief system that I did, was that we need to make it right. Make
Right.
sure the customer's happy with what the end product is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you already have the experience and knowing how to make sure customers are satisfied. It's just a matter of being able to relay that onto your contractors and make sure that, like you said, set expectations, right? Um, so great. Thanks for all this. I have one more question, then we do have to wrap it up here. So, you kind of touched on it already, but where do you see yourself in the next, say, 3 to 5 years? Where do you see All About Electrical going?
I hope that we can grow. Obviously, through Florida will be our first step. Get into other counties. I've got a lot of contacts in Florida, so I feel like that'll be an easier step. That hopefully, maybe even in the end of our next year from now, we're already looking into. Um, and yeah, 3 to 5 years, I would love to be nationwide. Maybe we've acquired some businesses to help with that. And again, maybe we can mold some, people looking to sell their businesses, and have employees that are ready to take that next step, and they can jump right in with our system to help them, again, focus on the stuff they know really well, and not be stuck with all these piles of extra work, or looking to hire people that are very, like, limited in the things that they can do, but you're trying to give them enough work that hopefully we can sort out, that whole thing, and become a nationwide brand, and, take this, globally if it comes to that, but, nationwide, we'll start with growing into Florida, and, see where it goes from there.
Take baby steps. Love it. Hey, make it all about electrical, right?
Yeah, that's
um,
that's the goal.
yeah. Well, Cal, thank you so much. This has been such a fun conversation. Really admire how grounded you are in both kind of like your craft and the business that you're trying to build. If folks want to reach out to you, what's the best way they can learn more about all about electrical or maybe yourself?
So we're on all the major platforms. We have our website at allabout.electrical.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram. So those are the best ways. LinkedIn, I believe, as well. But yeah, go to our website. That's the best way to find us. Keep up with what we're doing, and hopefully, here in these next few weeks, we're going to be back out and getting these jobs knocked out for our customers.
Awesome, and I'll make sure to link those in the description below. But for now, thanks again, Cal, and until next time, we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thanks so much. I really enjoyed it.